Hey everybody, welcome back to Slavic Saturday, where we talk about Slavic history, mythology, and folklore. My name is Brendan Noble, author of the Frostmarked Chronicles, which is my fantasy series based on Slavic mythology. This week, we return to our series on Slavic dragons, with the last, at least the subset of the series, with Zmey Gorynych, which is a very famous dragon from especially Russian folk tales. We're going to talk about this dragon and also talk about one of those most famous of those folk tales in this video. Before I dive too far into Zmey Gorynych, though, if you are interested in Slavic mythology, be sure to check out my series, The Frostmarked Chronicles, with the first book in the series, A Dagger in the Winds, having come out a couple weeks ago. You can also get your free copy of The Rider in the Night, which is the prequel novella, for free by checking out the links down in the description below for both the purchase links for A Dagger in the Winds and the links to get The Rider in the Night for free. But now, let's dive into talking more about Zmey Gorynych. So if you kept up on the series, you might see there's similarities in the name of Zmey Gorynych and another video I made just a couple weeks ago about the Zmey, which is a specific type of dragon. And if you're making that connection in your mind, you would be correct, because Zmey Gorynych is a specific type of dragon called the Zmey, and his name comes from this. So this Zmey name is kind of similar to serpent, or specifically viper, in different Slavic languages, but here particularly in Russian. And so his name actually means serpent of the mountains, which kind of gives you some insight into this dragon already. Like other Zmey, he has multiple heads, sometimes 3 up to sometimes 12, depending on the story. He even has multiple tails, having around 7 in the stories, and having claws made of copper. And he has the ability also to do other things dragons typically do, like breathe fire, and he also has the ability of most other Zmey with shapeshifting, and therefore making him a trickster, because he could shapeshift. Often he would specifically shapeshift as well into a young man, and which he would use to seduce women, specifically princesses, who he would then kidnap. And this caused a lot of the controversy around this character, because then this hero would have to go and catch Zmey Gorynych and be able to rescue the princess from him. And in these Russian tales, the hero was called a bogatyr, who would go out and fight the different mythical beasts in different Russian folk tales. And in the folk tales of around Zmey Gorynych, in which there are many, the most famous one was Dobrynya Nikitich, whose story claims that he came around the period of Kievan Rus, in one of the latest times of the pagan era in Russia, in which a lot of the stories came about because there was finally some interaction between a lot of the Christian missionaries who had writers and often the Slavs, or the pagan Slavs, who didn't originally. And so this story comes around, and Dobrynya was claimed to be one of these powerful fighters for the Kievan Rus people, and there were princesses being kidnapped, and he was the one who had to set out to stop Zmey Gorynych, who had been burning the towns and kidnapping the princesses. And so he went off to fight Zmey Gorynych, who, according to his names, was in the mountains. And so he finds Zmey Gorynych, who is, again, this very powerful beast, pictured often with, black or green scales, and being described as so large that with his wings expanded, he could block out the sky. So Dobrynya goes out and fights this dragon, and the second he gets the first hit on Zmey Gorynych pretends to be injured and begs for mercy from Dobrynya, and claiming that he'll never go and attack the villages ever again, or never kidnap any of the princesses ever again. And he might even talk about Dobrynya's name and claim that he's a powerful warrior. And Dobrynya accepts this offer. He was thought to be a merciful warrior, so he accepts this offer, thinking that Zmey Gorynych will never do it. But the second Dobrynya goes away, Zmey Gorynych returns to his schemes. Like I said before, Zmey are well known for being tricksters in general, and Zmey Gorynych is no different. And with his tricks returning, Dobrynya must now then search for Zmey Gorynych again, and when he finds him, he challenges him to once again another battle, and this battle turns into an epic fight that lasts for 3 long days and nights, but eventually Dobrynya manages to defeat Zmey Gorynych and put safety for the Kievan Rus people. And in the end, this has become one of the most famous stories throughout a lot of the Russian folk tales. It's the symbol of Zmey Gorynych, his statue being kind of spread out a bunch of places all over Russia. There's some pretty famous statues of him. And there's also a really interesting modern take that still appears from this story in the Russian coat of arms, as well as the Moscow coat of arms. A Christianized version of this tale involves St. George impaling the dragon with a spear, and this particular interpretation of the story is, if you look very closely inside the double-headed eagle on the Russian coat of arms, you can see him in white stabbing this black dragon through its heart, which makes it interesting to see how this folk tale from so long ago had an impact that spread all the way to the modern day coat of arms that's still used both in Russia, and then also an element of it in the Moscow one as well. And I think that's really cool to see how this mythological impact has happened. Obviously, they turned the pagan story into a Christianized version, but still, the Zmey Gorynich's story lives on through the Russian coat of arms. So for my own stories in the Frostmarked Chronicles, A Dagger in the Winds, like I have said before, is dragonless. But later books in the series, the Zmey will appear, and I can't talk too much specifically about Zmey Gorynych because that would probably be some spoilers, but there are some insights potentially in the later books in the series in which he will appear, and also a preview of such appearance in the Trials of Ascension, which is book 2 of the Frostmarked Chronicles. So keep your eye out for that in the future books in the series. I love being able to start writing dragons, and I'm looking to be able to include them even more. And that's all I have for you today on this Slavic Saturday video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe down below. I come out with these videos every Saturday.